So in continuation with definite integral, this is now Wallis formula. Remember from our indefinite integral, we always perform transformation when it comes to trigonometric functions or integrands that involves trigonometric functions. If it now becomes the product of a sine and cosine, we then apply or consider if the exponents are odd or even, right? If it is an even exponent, we apply trigonometric function transformation type 1. If it is odd, if it is odd, type 1. If it is even, type 2. Then apply necessary transformation using your basic knowledge when it comes to trigonometric identities. Sobrang haba ng solution, minsan nakakalito, merong dalawang answer, and so forth and so long. But with integral calculus, in terms of definite integral, if now the problem considers limits such as upper limit and lower limit of 0, and an upper limit of pi over 2. Yun lang ang magiging consideration mo when it comes to using Wallis formula. If the problem has limits of 0 to pi over 2, and the integrand considers only the product of sine and cosine, only sine or only cosine. Ulitin ko, if the limits only consider 0 to pi over 2, and the integrands are in terms of the product of sine and cosine, or sine only or cosine only, then the exponents are either an even exponent or an odd exponent or else. So pag even exponent, multiplier natin dun sa ating transformation is pi over 2. Odd exponents, meaning yung exponent ni sine at exponent ni cosine are both even. Or yung exponent ni sine are even lang, or if you're only integrating sine only, and so forth and so long. Pero pag mix na even at odd or odd only yung exponent, laging ang multiplier natin with the transform integrand is equal to 1. But how are we going to transform the problem? That is based on the identified exponent of the product of those two trigonometric functions, sine and cosine. Nakikita nyo yung n and m. Tawag na dito. Laging odd yung isusubtract natin sa denominator kaysa sa numerator. So with that said, ang tawag na dito sa taas, that is n minus 1 times n minus 3 hanggang ang difference is 1 squared. Then, multiply that to m minus 1 times m minus 3 hanggang ang difference nila is 1. As long na hindi naging negative or 0 yung difference. Then, sa baba, n plus m times n plus m minus 2, then minus 4, and so forth and so long, hanggang ang difference of the sum of the exponent is equal to 1 or not less than 1. Then multiply the equivalent, the quotient value of that with our adopted alpha. Si alpha again, if the exponents n and m, or both n and m, are even exponents, pi over 2. If one of them are odd, again, consider alpha equal to 1 as our multiplier. Yan lang naman yun. But this is only applicable if the integrand is the product of sine and cosine, or only sine, or only cosine. And the limits are 0 to pi over 2. So as an example, let us try to solve this basic problem. Integral of 0 to pi over 2 of sine squared y dy. Okay? Remember, it is an even exponent. And multiply natin siya sa ating alpha if it is even of pi over 2. Sa taas, that is simply exponent 2 minus an odd number. Sa baba, wala namang m. So basically 2 plus 0 times 2 plus 0, 2 plus 0 minus 2. So basically, mawawala na yan. Hindi na yan kasama. So wag nyo nang isulat yan. Or wala nang equivalent value yan. Remember, dapat hindi siya mag-0 or hindi siya dapat maging less than 1. So disregard that part. 2 minus 2, 0 na yan. Kasi pag minultiply mo doon, magiging 0. So magiging undefined yung problem. So disregard that part. So 2 minus 1 all over 2. 2 minus 1 over 2 is 1 over 2 times pi over 2. Or simply, our answer is pi over 4. You may also try to recheck your answer using the conventional method when it comes to solving trigonometric function or transformation of trigonometric function. This is type 2. So 1 plus cosine 2y over 2. So 1 half y minus 1 half sine 2y then plus c. Then, i-substitute nyo pa yon. Sobrang haba. So, kaysa naman using Wallis formula such as shown here. Okay? Next up. How about if you're asked to evaluate the definite integral of the product of sine cube y times cosine 6 raised to cosine raised to 6y dy. Notice one of the exponents of these two trigonometric terms is even and the other one is odd. Remember, if it is all an even exponent, our alpha or our multiplier alpha is always pi over 2. Either way around, if it is odd or mixed odd and even, laging ang alpha multiplier natin is simply equal to 1. Kung odd lang, 1 pa rin. Kung mix ng odd at even exponent, 1 pa rin. Kung even lang, both n and m are even exponent, laging pi over 2. Perform the transformation as, sulat ko na lang ha, n equal to 3, m is equal to 6. So 3 minus 1, then 3 minus 3 is 0. So never mind. That is, next stop is this one supposed to be 8. 8, 8, 8, 8. Yan. Then 8 minus 1, 8 minus 3, 8 minus 5, and 8 minus 7. Hindi na pwede yung 8 minus 9 kasi magiging negative na yan. So, never mind that. Then, sa baba, 3 plus 8. Then, 3 plus 8, what is 3 plus 8? 11 minus 2. 11 minus 4. 11 minus 6. 11 minus 8. And 11 minus 10. Huwag na yung 11 minus 12. Dahil magiging negative na yon. So, mag-end ka sa 11 minus 10. Then again, this is an odd and an even exponent. So, apply a multiplier alpha equal to 1. Simplify mo lang yan. That is 2 times 7 times 5 times 3 times 1. All over 11 times 9 times 7 times 5 times 3 times 1 times 1. Ilan yan? That is 2 over 99. So, ito ngayon yung ating final answer. So, kung ginamit mo yung transformation sa problem na yan, marahil, umabot ka sa 5 pages ng solution. Ano? Gaya ng assignment ninyo before. Pero yun, applicable talagang ganun ang solution dahil hindi naman siya definite integral. But with definite integral, kung hindi ko inintroduce si Wallis formula, marahil ilang oras nyo yung isosolve yan or 2 oras nyo yung isosolve yan. Right? Next up, if you're now asked to evaluate the indefinite integral of 0 to pi over 2 of the product of sine raised to 4y times cosine raised to 6y dy. So, paano yan? Notice again in this problem, mapapansin ninyo na the exponents are all in even. So, basically, our alpha multiplier will now be equal to pi over 2. So, both naman are even, so consider alpha as equal now to pi over 2. Then again, n is equal to 4, m is equal to 6. So, transform na natin. 4 minus 1 times 4 minus 3. Hindi na pwede yung 4 minus 5 kasi negative na yon. Then, m, 6 minus 1, 6 minus 3, and 6 minus 5. Sa baba naman, that is 4 plus 6, which is 10 minus 2 times 10 minus 4 times 10 minus 6 times 10 minus 8. Multiply by pi over 2, which is now equal to 3 times 1 times 5 times 3 times 1 over 10 times 8 times 6 times 4 and times 2 multiply by pi over 2, which gives us final answer of 15 pi over 2560. So, eto na ngayon yung ating final answer for this problem. Then again, if you're going to apply basic evaluation and transformation of trigonometric functions involving sine and cosine, dalawang type or integral formula ang gagamitin mo. And sobrang haba ng solution yan for sure. Lastly, an example for Wallis formula. For if you're given to a definite integral of 0 to pi over 2 of sine squared y and cosine squared y dy. Again, both of them has an even exponent, so our alpha will now be equal to pi over 2. So that is n is equal to 2, m is equal to 2, so both of them should be subtracted by an odd number of 1. Then, denominator ay sa baba is, ang tawag na dito, 2 plus 2, 4 minus 2, and hindi na pwede yung 4 minus 4. Then, pi over 2 is 1 over 8 times pi over 2, which is now equal to pi over 16. So, yan na yung ating final answer for this problem. Now, in continuation to our examples for definite integral, what if you're now given a definite integrand that is in need of using substitution, using trigonometric substitution, such as example is shown here. So, ang kanyang limits are 0 to 1, and you're asked to evaluate the definite integral of x raised to 4 times the square root of 1 minus x squared dx. You can also solve this particular problem using substitution, algebraic substitution. Though mapapansin mo naman na doon sa ating given integrand na there is that similarity with the given formulas before in relation to trigonometric substitution. Right? So, and if I ask you to use trigonometric substitution, using trigonometric substitution, how are we going to evaluate this problem? Evaluate muna natin without considering the limits muna ha, just the given integrand. Let us assume that the value of x is equal to sine theta. Yung term natin, alpha squared minus x squared, which is equal to x minus x equal to alpha sine theta, right? Differential of x equal to sine theta is dx equal to cosine theta d theta. X squared is simply sine squared theta. By simple substitution, that is now integral of 0 to 1 of sine raised to the 4th theta times the square root of 1 minus x squared sine theta, sine squared theta, and dx is cosine theta d theta. Simplify na natin yan. Pwede na natin i-simplify yan. 0 to 1. 1 minus sine squared, identities, that is cosine squared. If that is cosine squared, square root of cosine squared is simply cosine, right? Cosine theta times cosine theta, that is now sine raised to the 4th theta, and cosine squared theta d theta. But remember our properties when it comes to using integral formula of substitution with definite integral, right? If you are now going to perform substitution, substitution is used in evaluating the integrand. Change in the limits is also suggested. So we need to change the upper and the lower limit in accordance to the substitutions that we have considered for this problem. Now, reanalyze or reevaluate your upper limit. Remember that upper limit is just the equivalent value to be substituted to our variable x. So if the upper limit is equal to 1 or x equal to 1, that remember in our substitution, sine theta is also equal to 1. Then if we reanalyze this one, sine theta is also equal to 1, and theta is equal now to arc sine 1, or simply theta is equal now to pi over 2, right? And this will serve now as our upper limit in relation to variable theta. So for lower limit, if x is equal to 0, sine theta is also equal to 0, and theta is equal to arc sine 0, right? So theta arc sine 0 is simply equal to 0. Now we already have solved our lower limit and upper limit. So palitan na lang natin, substitute na natin dyan yung change upper and lower limit. So lower limit of 0, upper limit of pi over 2, and an integrand of sine raised to the 4th theta cosine squared theta d theta. Notice again, this is now an integrand which is now a trigonometric function, shows the product of sine and cosine, where it has an exponent it has an even exponent, or both of them has an even exponent. So even exponents, sine and cosine, immediately use Wallis formula. Multiplier is pi over 2, n is equal to 4, m is equal to 2. Bakit Wallis formula? Remember that we have transformed our upper and lower limit such that our new upper and lower limit are now 0 to pi over 2, which constitute to the conditions using Wallis formula. Diba? Wallis formula only considers limits that are 0 to pi over 2. So with that said, pwede na tayong mag-move with Wallis formula. 4 minus 1 times 4 minus 3, then 2 minus 1. All over 4 minus 3 times 7 minus 2 times 7 minus 4 and 7 minus 6. Multiply by pi over 2. And that is now equal to pi over that is 3 times 1 times 1. That is now, bakit 4 plus 2? Bakit yun? Mali. That is 6. 4 plus 2. 6 minus 2. 6 minus 4. So that is 3 times 1 times 1. 6 times 4 times 2. Which is pi over 32. So yan na yung ating final answer for this problem. Remember, if you're going to use substitution, especially if it is trigonometric substitution, always change the upper and lower limit in accordance to the substitutions that you have made. Okay? Baka substitute ka lang ng substitute porkit na pag nakita mo lang dun sa napanood mong isang YouTube. Tapos mamaya, wala na naman. Okay? Okay. Next example for definite integral. So what if now you're asked to evaluate the definite integral having limits of 0 to pi over 2 of x cosine 2x dx. Okay? How are you going to solve that? Sir, Wallis formula. Nakita mo lang yung limits is 0 to pi over 2 tapos cosine na integral function. Wallis formula agad. Sigurado ka bang applicable yan? Remember, Wallis formula considers an integrand of the product of sine and cosine having either an odd or even exponents, or only sine or only cosine. This is now combination of two unrelated terms or two unrelated functions, that is x and cosine 2x. If they are unrelated, anong gagamitin nating integral formula? Hello? Pag unrelated, ano? You. Ay, hindi ko po nakikita yung chat nyo. Pag unrelated, we are going to use integration by parts. Function u is x hanggang maging 0. x10 dv is cosine 2x. Then integral 1/2 sine 2x. Integral minus 1/4 cosine 2x. Plus multiply minus multiply is now equal to x over 2 sine 2x minus or plus 1/4 of cosine 2x plus c. 0 and upper limit of pi over Okay. Substitute. Using your calculator, convert nyo lang si calculator nyo into radian and substitute the value of x for the upper limit of pi over 2 and the value of x for the lower limit of 0. Minus 0 over 2 sine 2 times 0 plus 1/4 of cosine 2 times 0. Maka-cancel na si C. That is 0. That is cosine 2 times 0. Cosine 0 is 1 times 1/4 negative 1/4. That is pi over 2 pi over 4 times sine pi plus 1/4 cosine pi. That is negative 1/4 minus 1/4, which is equal now to negative 1/2. So, eto na ngayon yung ating final answer in relation naman to definite integrals applying integration by parts. Sana yung ating answer. Okay? For your exercise problems, try to solve these 3 given problems. Ang practice lang. Walang plus point, walang kahit na ano. Nasa sa inyo na yan kung gusto nyong i-solve or not. Negative 1 is to 1 of dx over the square root of 4 minus x squared. So, sobrang dali lang yan. Over 2. Integral of 2 is to 3 of dx over x squared minus 6x plus 10. And number 3, integral of 2 to 3 x squared minus 2x over x minus 1 dx. On your own, try to solve this given 3 exercise problems. Sa inyo na yan kung gusto nyong isolve or hindi.